The silent scream. The crystalline spires of the Zephyrian Council chamber reached toward the artificial aurora that danced across the dome ceiling. Representatives from 15 different species sat in perfect harmony around the circular platform, their various forms creating a beautiful display of galactic diversity. The luminary glowed with soft pastels, the aquatic Veltar floated in their mobile water chambers, and the plant-like Verdani swayed gently in the recycled breeze. For 400 years, the Zephyrian collective had maintained perfect peace. Their member worlds were garden paradises with mild climates, gentle weather patterns, and docile wildlife. War was a concept they had read about in ancient texts but never experienced. Conflict resolution happened through meditation and careful discussion. Violence was so foreign to their nature that they had no words for many forms of aggression in their common language. High Counselor Lyrand of the luminary species called the weekly assembly to order. Her bioluminescent skin pulsed with calm blue patterns as she reviewed routine matters. Trade agreements, resource sharing, and scientific discoveries filled the agenda. The biggest controversy in recent memory had been a disagreement about shipping routes that took 3 months of gentle debate to resolve. The energy readings from the Kepler 400 and 42 bits mining station show excellent progress, reported science advisor Nell, her crystalline form chiming softly as she spoke. The rare mineral extraction is proceeding ahead of schedule. Dr. Kess and her team of 200 researchers have discovered deposits that could power our entire collective for generations. Murmurs of pleased approval rippled through the chamber. The Kepler 400 and 42 bits station represented the cutting edge of their peaceful expansion into the galaxy. Unlike the military conquests of ancient civilizations, the Zephyrian collective grew through careful scientific exploration and mutual benefit agreements with any life they encountered. Suddenly, every display screen in the chamber flashed red. A harsh alarm pierced the tranquil atmosphere, causing several representatives to cover their sensitive auditory organs. The emergency alert system had never been activated in living memory. Most council members had only seen it during historical educational programs. "What is this sound?" asked Representative Quinn of the Veltar, his aquatic form rippling with distress within his chamber. "Has there been some malfunction?" Technical Officer Zara rushed to the main control console, her 6 delicate fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Her normally steady hands trembled as she processed the incoming data. "High Counselor," she called out, her voice breaking with emotion. "We're receiving an emergency transmission from Kepler 400 and 42 bits." The chamber fell silent except for the continued wailing of the alarm. High Counselor Lyrand's bioluminescent patterns shifted to concerned purple hues. "Display the message immediately." The central hologram activated, showing the familiar face of Dr. Kess from the mining station. But something was terribly wrong. The Verdani scientist's usually vibrant green skin had paled to a sickly yellow, and her leaf-like hair was wilted and brown. Behind her, emergency lights flashed, and smoke filled the corridor. "This is Dr. Kess at Kepler 400 and 42 bits research station." The recording began, her voice strained with panic that no Zephyrian had heard for centuries. "We are under attack by unknown hostiles. They came from the dark side of the system without warning. Our shields are failing. They're boarding the station. These creatures are unlike anything in our databases. They seem to feed on energy itself, draining our power systems and life support." The image flickered as explosions rocked the station. Dr. Kess looked directly into the camera with eyes full of terror. "They're not taking prisoners. They're consuming everything. If anyone receives this message, do not come here. Warn the collective. Tell them the darkness has found us." The transmission cut to static, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. For several long moments, no one spoke. The concept of an attack, of hostile aliens, of consumption and death, was so foreign to their peaceful existence that many representatives struggled to process what they had witnessed. High Counselor Lyrand stood slowly, her bioluminescent patterns cycling through confused colors. "Officer Zara, when was this message transmitted?" 6 hours ago, Zora replied, her voice barely above a whisper. The transmission array at Kepler 442 bits has been silent since then. No response to our attempts at contact. 6 hours, repeated Representative Quinn. Our fastest ships would take 4 days to reach that system. If these creatures are still there, we must send help immediately, declared Counselor Teth of the Crystalline Resonary. His form chimed with determined harmonics. Dr. Kess and her team are our people. We cannot abandon them. Admiral Voss, the oldest member of the Council and their most experienced space commander, raised a weathered appendage. His species, the gentle giants, were the closest thing the collective had to warriors, though even they had not seen combat in 3 centuries. I must advise caution, he said in his deep, rumbling voice. Our ships carry no weapons beyond mining lasers and debris deflectors. If these hostiles destroyed a fortified research station, what could our rescue vessels do against them? We have to try, insisted Dr. Mira of the Empathic Whispers. Her species felt the emotions of others, and the psychic echoes of fear and pain from the distant station were causing her visible distress. I can sense their terror even across the void. They're still alive, some of them. We cannot leave them to suffer. Technical Officer Zara's console chimed with an incoming priority alert. Her face went pale as she read the display. High Counselor, I'm detecting another ship responding to the distress call. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. One of our vessels? Asked Liran hopefully. No, Zora replied, her voice dropping to a horrified whisper. It's coming from the quarantine zone. From the Sol system. The reaction was immediate and visceral. Several representatives gasped. Others began rapid prayers in their native languages, and a few of the more fragile species fainted entirely. The Sol system was forbidden territory, home to the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever catalogued. Humans. 50 years ago, the Zephyrian Collective had discovered Earth during a routine survey mission. What they found there defied all understanding of how life could exist. Earth was classified as a Category X death world, a planet so hostile that the fact that complex life had evolved there seemed impossible. The gravity was crushing. The weather was violently unpredictable. The planet was covered in vast oceans filled with predators, and the land masses teemed with creatures designed to kill. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, droughts, ice ages, and asteroid impacts had shaped the world into a nightmare realm that would instantly kill any member of the collective. And the dominant species, humans, had not only survived this hellscape but thrived in it. They had dense muscle and bone structures to handle the gravity. Their immune systems were so aggressive they could fight off diseases that would devastate other species. They could eat foods that were poisonous to most galactic life. They could survive in temperature ranges that would be lethal to collective members. Worst of all, they had evolved as persistence predators. They could run for hours without stopping, tracking prey across vast distances. They formed pack bonds and would fight to the death to protect their group members. They had developed warfare into an art form, creating weapons and tactics that demonstrated a terrifying understanding of how to kill efficiently. The collective had unanimously agreed to quarantine the Sol system. No contact was permitted. Humanity was simply too dangerous to interact with. They were labeled as Deathworlders and left alone on their violent planet. But now, somehow, a human ship was moving toward Kepler 442 bits. How is this possible? Demanded Admiral Voss. The quarantine barriers should have contained them. Technical Officer Zora checked her readings multiple times before responding. The ship designation is UES Valiant, United Earth Ship. It's moving at velocities our sensors say should be impossible. They'll reach the mining station in 18 hours. 18 hours, gasped High Counselor Liran. Our fastest rescue ship would take 4 days. How did they get a ship that advanced? Asked Dr. Mira. Our intelligence suggested their technology was primitive. Admiral Voss paced the chamber, his massive form casting shadows across the crystalline floor. We underestimated them. We assumed that because they were isolated on one world, their development would be limited. We were wrong. Representative Quinn floated nervously in his aquatic chamber. What are their intentions? Are they responding to help, or do they see this as an opportunity to expand their territory? We know almost nothing about human psychology in space, admitted Dr. Mira. All our behavioral studies were based on observing them on their homeworld. Their ship is called Valiant, which suggests courage or determination, but we don't know if they're coming as rescuers or conquerors. High Counselor Lyran made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. We will dispatch our fastest ships immediately. The UES Mercy and the UES Harmony will proceed to Kepler 442 bits with full rescue capabilities. Their orders are to assist any survivors and document whatever they find. And the humans? Asked Admiral Voss. They will arrive long before our ships, Lyran replied grimly. We can only hope that when we get there, we find survivors to rescue rather than a second tragedy to investigate. The Council voted quickly and unanimously to approve the rescue mission. As representatives rushed to their respective ships and command centers, Technical Officer Zora continued monitoring the UES Valiant's approach. The human ship had increased speed again, pushing beyond what collective physics said should be possible. Whatever drove these Deathworlders, it was powerful enough to risk destroying their own vessel in their haste to reach the crisis. In the depths of space, the UES Valiant raced toward an unknown enemy, carrying creatures that the galaxy feared above all others. Behind them, the peaceful ships of the Zephyrian Collective followed as quickly as their gentle technology would allow. None of them knew what they would find at Kepler 442 bits, but for the first time in 400 years, the galaxy was about to discover what happened when Deathworlders went to war. The Deathworlders Gambit. The UES Valiant dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442-bit system with the controlled violence that characterized everything humans did. Unlike the gentle emergence patterns used by collective ships, the human vessel appeared in a flash of twisted space-time that sent energy signatures racing across every sensor in the system. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Valiant, her dark eyes scanning the tactical displays with the focused intensity of a predator. At 35, she was young for a deep space commander, but her service record in the Earth Defense Corps spoke of someone who had earned her position through competence rather than politics. The bridge crew around her moved with the efficient precision of soldiers who had trained together for years. "System scan complete, Captain," reported Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb from the sensor station. His augmented reality display showed three-dimensional holographic representations of every object in the system. "The mining station is there, but it's not responding to hails. I'm reading massive structural damage and zero energy signatures." "Life signs?" Chen asked, her voice steady despite the implications. "Scanning now," Webb replied, his fingers dancing across haptic interfaces that would have been incomprehensible to collective observers. "I'm detecting faint biosignatures in the station's core sections. Maybe 30 to 40 individuals still alive, but the readings are weak and getting weaker." Chief Engineer Rosa Martinez looked up from her console, her weathered face grim with the kind of expression that came from too many years dealing with emergency situations. "Captain, I'm reading something else. There are ships attached to the station. Parasitic vessels of some kind. They're draining power directly from the station's fusion reactors." "Show me," Chen ordered. The main view screen shifted to display the Kepler 442 bits mining station, and what they saw would have sent any collective member into shock. The elegant research facility, designed with the flowing organic curves favored by the Zephyrian Collective, was now a twisted wreck. Attached to its hull like metallic leeches were dozens of dark, angular ships that pulsed with stolen energy. "Jesus Christ," whispered Navigation Officer David Park. "What are those things?" Dr. Elizabeth Kane, the Valiant's xenobiologist, leaned forward to study the tactical data. As one of the few humans who had extensively studied collective species, her expertise was invaluable on this mission. The energy drain patterns suggest they're not just stealing power for propulsion. They're feeding. This is biological consumption on a technological scale. Captain, Webb called out urgently, I'm detecting movement. Those parasitic ships are disengaging from the station. They're heading directly for us. Chen's expression didn't change, but every person on the bridge could feel the shift in atmosphere. This was the moment that separated humans from every other species in the galaxy. Where collective members would have fled or attempted to negotiate, humans prepared to fight. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Chen announced over the ship's communication system. Tactical, I want firing solutions on all approaching vessels. Engineering, maximum power to shields and weapons. Medical, prepare for casualties. The transformation of the Valiant from exploration vessel to warship took less than 60 seconds. Weapon ports opened along the hull, revealing the devastating firepower that humans had developed during centuries of warfare. Shield generators that could withstand asteroid impacts hummed to life. Throughout the ship, the crew moved with the practiced efficiency of warriors born on a world that had taught them to fight or die. 37 hostiles inbound, reported Tactical Officer Jennifer Hayes. Their ships are unlike anything in our databases, organic tech hybrid construction. They're accelerating beyond the safety limits of any known species. They don't care about safety limits, Dr. Kane observed. If they're truly parasitic, individual survival is less important than the survival of the swarm. They'll sacrifice themselves to weaken us for the others. The first wave of parasitic ships struck the Valiant with concentrated energy beams that would have vaporized a collective vessel instantly. The human ship's shields flared but held, absorbing energies that would challenge a small star. The Valiant responded with a barrage of kinetic projectiles and plasma charges that lit up the space around them like a miniature supernova. Direct hits on 6 targets, Hayes reported, but they're adapting to our weapons. Their hulls are shifting composition to absorb our energy attacks. Then we adapt faster, Chen replied grimly. Switch to quantum torpedoes. If they want to drain energy, let's give them more than they can handle. The quantum torpedoes were humanity's latest weapon technology, designed to overload any energy-based defense system. When they struck the parasitic ships, the results were spectacular. The alien vessels writhed and convulsed as their energy-draining capabilities turned against them, consuming their own systems in feedback loops. But for every parasitic ship destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. The mining station was apparently serving as some kind of nursery, spawning new attackers faster than the humans could eliminate them. Captain, Dr. Kane called out, I'm reading massive energy buildup in the station's core. I think they're preparing to drain the fusion reactors completely. If they succeed, the explosion will take out everything in this system, including us. Chen made the kind of decision that no collective member would have considered. Helm, take us directly toward the station. Full speed. Captain, Lieutenant Park protested. That's suicide. We'll be flying directly into their main force. No, Chen replied with the kind of smile that had terrified Earth's enemies for millennia. That's the plan. Dr. Kane, how long before the reactor overloads? At their current drain rate, maybe 20 minutes, Kane replied. Engineering, I need you to overload our own fusion reactors on my command, Chen ordered. Not enough to destroy us, but enough to create a massive energy pulse. Captain, Martins protested. If we overload our reactors near theirs, the combined explosion will vaporize this entire section of space. Not if we do it right, Chen replied. These parasites feed on energy, correct? What happens when a parasite consumes too much? Understanding dawned on Dr. Kane's face. They die. You want to poison them with our own energy signature. Exactly. They've adapted to drain standard fusion energy, but human reactor designs are different, more violent, more unstable. If we can flood them with our energy pattern, their adaptation systems won't be able to cope. The Valiant raced toward the mining station, human engineering pushing the ship beyond its theoretical limits. Around them, space filled with enemy vessels, each one desperately trying to stop the approaching Deathworlders. But humans had learned to fight in environments that would kill other species, and they applied that same philosophy to space combat. Entering the station's defensive perimeter, Park reported, his voice steady despite the fact that they were flying into what looked like certain death. "All hands, brace for impact," Chen announced. "Martinez, initiate reactor overload on my mark." The Valiant plunged into the heart of the parasitic swarm, its weapons blazing in all directions. Human-designed shields held against energy drains that would have crippled collective technology in seconds. The ship's hull rang like a bell as debris and enemy fire struck it, but the reinforced construction that humans built for Deathworld conditions kept them intact. "We're inside their minimum engagement range," Hayes reported. "They can't use their heavy weapons without hitting each other." "Now we find out if humans really are as crazy as the galaxy thinks," Chen muttered. "Martinez, execute reactor overload. All power to shields." The Valiant's fusion reactors screamed beyond their safety limits, pouring out energy in patterns that no other species would have dared to attempt. The wave of power that erupted from the human ship was chaotic, violent, and utterly alien to the parasitic creature's experience. The effect was immediate and devastating. The parasitic ships began to convulse as their energy absorption systems tried to process the foreign power signature. One by one, they lost control of their own systems, their adaptation mechanisms overwhelmed by the sheer alien nature of human technology. Within minutes, the space around the mining station was filled with drifting parasitic hulks, their energy-draining capabilities turned into a weakness that humans had exploited with characteristic ruthlessness. "All hostiles neutralize," Hayes reported, amazement clear in her voice. "Station fusion reactors are stabilizing. The survivors should be safe now." As rescue teams prepared to board the damaged station, long-range sensors detected the approach of collective ships. The UES Mercy and UES Harmony dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the system's edge, their crews prepared for the worst. What they found instead was the UES Valiant holding position near the mining station, its crew already working to rescue survivors and provide medical aid to the traumatized researchers. High Counselor Lyran's image appeared on the Valiant's main screen, her bioluminescent patterns cycling through colors that had no equivalent in human experience. Behind her, the collective rescue team stared in amazement at the human ship that had accomplished what their entire military considered impossible. "Captain Chen," Lyran said, her voice carefully controlled, "I am High Counselor Lyran of the Zephyrian Collective. We owe you a debt that we cannot repay." Chen studied the alien leader for a moment before responding. "High Counselor, we didn't come here for payment. We came because people needed help." "But why?" Lyran asked, genuine confusion in her voice. "Your species was quarantined. We treated you as dangerous, as something to be feared and avoided. Why would you risk your lives for strangers?" Chen's response would be remembered in galactic history for centuries to come. "Because that's what humans do. When we hear someone calling for help, we answer. It doesn't matter if they're human or alien, friend or stranger. It's who we are." As the rescue operations continued, with human and collective crews working side by side to save the mining station survivors, the galaxy began to understand that they had been wrong about the Deathworlders of Earth. Humans weren't monsters to be feared. They were guardians to be grateful for. And the universe had just become a much safer place. The parasitic threat was ended, the survivors were rescued, and for the first time in galactic history, the words, "Thank you, humanity," were spoken by alien voices across the stars. The age of human isolation was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun.